Alrighty. So, hello everybody. This is episode 42 of Shoot the Breeze, a chill interview and a chill time all around for you and me. I'm your host, HeavyDivider, and alongside, who is right over there right now, I believe he's working on something at the moment. If you want to come over here, you can. If you're all good, you can come over here. I mean, we had to sit up. You're fine, you're all good, but my guest for tonight is a very chill individual, as well as a very kind individual for the most part, who I had the nice chance to be able to interact with at one point during a stream. In addition to that, I've also got a chance to basically talk with him a few times in VC for the most part, but he is part of Sakura Plus, but he's also a very genuine individual on hand. My guest is Nagitan here. So, welcome on in, Nagitan.
Hello, hello.
Hey, welcome on in. So, simple question on him, since I've already just explained it, but how the hell did we meet?
How did we meet? I remember we were very... We became acquaintances right when we became a part of the Sakura Plus team. That I know much for sure. We never really talked much before that, but once we started to connect through Senpai Sabrina, which is our team leader, that's when we started to know about each other a little bit more over time.
Yeah, the one thing I will say on hand, like originally beforehand, like before it was Sakura Plus, it was Bun Beans, and you were there long before I even came around the scene on hand, and you've seen quite a lot of interesting things from here to there. But for the most part, entirely on hand, I think you were like within the Vtuber community for the most part, before it was like all the way over into what is now known as Sakura Plus. So, also let me.
That's fair.
Yep. So I forgot to grab my thing here. A little bit of discombobulated, but I forgot to grab my list here. But yeah, it was just a little bit in there. So I will say, since we're in VRChat for the most part, do you have any origins on how you got started in VRChat, or how did you discover it for the most part?
So I discovered it back when it nearly got like open release, back when it like first started on Steam, when people started to make their YouTube videos on that. About, I think it was December of the year it got released. That's when I got interested, so I started to play it on the desktop. I didn't have VR at the time, and I definitely didn't have the money for that at the time, but I wanted to interact with people, because for the most part, I feel like I'm an introverted person, so I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to, you know, just go out and talk to people, especially wearing like anime outfits or costumes or stuff like that. So I felt kind of natural in that. So that's how I started VRChat.
No, that's a good idea on hand. Because trust me, in a way or so, like even if it's talking for strangers for Discord or so, when it's like in a game where you can easily just see people move around or just be able to, even if it's not like their real face on it, you can at least be able to connect to them personality-wise before you ever met them, like appearance-wise or so. It helps. Definitely helps on hand just to be able to help a situation like that for the most part. So, let me ask about your hobbies on hand. Now, I put down a few things. One was League of Legends, because I know you talked about League of Legends a lot on hand for the times I've been around. In addition to that, I know you do a little bit of art on the side here. Like, I think it's like the begin. It's beginning. I want to say it's beginning steps for the most part. Beginning steps on hand, but it works. So.
I just want to put a small keynote for everyone who's watching. The art streams I do are horribly scuffed. I'm tracing my friends' PNGs that they willingly gave me, and I'm just horribly editing them. And also the fact that this is pretty much my first time ever drawing, so it's horrible. Pretend that those art streams never existed.
I got you.
But other than that, I spend most of my time playing like League of Legends, Valorant, sometimes Overwatch. I tried to play a lot of multiplayer games, especially more towards co-op, so like Left 4 Dead or Overcooked, or things like that, because I feel like it's just something I grew up with. Because back in the day, when I was, I would say even 2 or 3 now, that's when me and my family got our first video game console, and I think it was I can't remember if it was an N64 or the SNES. That's where my family started to just gather around on like the Saturday nights to play some co-op games and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So that's where my love for video games and co-op games as such grew over time, and that's how I am to this day because of what they've taught me and instilled
Yeah.
into me to this day.
No, that's understandable. I mean, you usually start out with like the smallest thing on hand that you didn't think you would have, like like Super Nintendo or just like a Nintendo 64, or when you never had like a console on hand, you start out with like a small thing on hand, like it could be like a Game Boy Black and White, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy SP. Something small on hand monitor wise, and then it basically evolves into that here and there. So it's always the smallest things that basically get you very interested, and then it grows into your biggest interest on hand here and there. So, but yeah, I was gonna say, do you have anything outside of gaming that you do as a hobby or so? Like outside of video gaming in general?
Outside of video gaming, there's two major things. The first one being, I love anime. It's the Japanese blood that's running through my vein. That I just love the Japanese culture. I love going out to Japan to experience all the different kind of food, the history, and all sorts of things. But generally, the most attractive part about the Japanese culture is anime, because hate to bring it back, but this is also another thing that was instilled by my parents, because also on Saturday nights, we would sit in front of the TV, we would watch Naruto, we would watch One Piece, Bleach, we'd also watch some Inuyasha at the midnight showing, so like, that's how I also got my love for anime. And then the other thing that I do majorly is tour guiding.
Oh, tour guiding.
So to explain it very quick and simple, whenever I'm not streaming or doing things like that, I was working as a tour guide and a waiter on a ship. So pretty much I show people around the neighborhood, I show people around all the really good tourist spots and stuff like that. And then I'm also a server to, get them food, serve them drinks, and talk stories with them when on the ship with them. So in the meantime, I tend to sometimes just look up random things, random places, and just love to read a bit about the history, and wanting to introduce people to more amazing places, introduce them to more cultures and more things like that.
No, I got you. I mean, hey, it's one of those things where, hey, you can always learn a thing or two from any culture on hand, no matter Japan, no matter like Europe, no matter wherever it is or so. Sometimes it's something you don't even know about, and then it just kind of gets stuck in your head, and then it's like, hey, did you know? And even though you never use that knowledge for anything, it's just that one moment on hand, so it helps. Definitely helps in those key aspects. So, now, let me talk to you about the VRChat Scene. Now, when I say the VRChat Scene, I mean, like, I know you haven't gone in VRChat too much for the most part, but I will say from your experience, like, from that little experience on hand for so, what did you overall think for the most part?
For the most part, I felt that it was very interesting, and it felt like very real, because most of the time, if you're talking to someone over the internet, they don't exactly have a face. You're only talking to text boxes and stuff like that. So just having another person being there, like having a body there, felt so much more different. And it felt so moving to me, because I felt like I was actually socializing with random people I would never ever talk to at any point in my life, because all I did was school, work, home, that's it. So just having the chance to just casually have a banter about whatever kind of situations and all the dumb stuff that people do in VR chat felt really fun.
Definitely. And plus, again, the magic thing about it is the fact that you can talk to somebody overseas or like 1,000 miles away from you, and it just feels like it's like really close to you on hand. Like, that's the magical part about it, and it still is like just thinking about how far the internet or just like any form of technology has come, where basically you could talk to somebody like no matter how far away they are, you can actually just connect to them just like that. That's the greatest magic thing on hand for it. But let me ask you about the Vtuber Scene. Now, I know briefly on hand before you were part of anything else on hand, before you started getting into streaming and everything, you were part of Project Melody's community, correct? Or am I?
You're actually very correct about that. So to describe my history in the VTubing community real quick, I started from the Project Melody streams because I heard it randomly from a YouTube video. And then after that, Project Melody recommended me to Silvervale and the other big four, which is now part of VShojo. Then afterwards, I started meeting a lot of the other big streamers to this day, like Nakamoto Miu, Soya Poya, iCandy, and a few other big names. And then after that, I fell more and more down the rabbit hole of VTubers. All from watching one YouTube video. It's crazy to think about it, that I met so many new friends and all these people just because of one YouTube video.
Oh, trust me, it usually is like, that's like the norm on hand, where basically it just, you see one thing on hand and you get rather interesting on hand for it. Be it like, even if it's VTubing, even if it's like, you know, any games like League of Legends, Valorant, or like VRChat in general, it just takes one video for you to get interested in it, and then once you join that community, so it's like you go down the rabbit hole, depending on how devoted or like passionate you enjoy it, you know? So, but I will say, with VTubing in general, especially when you've met a lot of different people here and there, for the most part, I will say, how is the communities in general on VTubing side for the most part? Like, I know each one has probably got, like, a different feel to it, or it could be, like, people you've already seen here and there, but I was gonna say, how is it, like going into different ones, for the matter?
I don't really understand this question. Could you rephrase it a bit?
Sure thing. Basically, for example, with Project Melody's community on hand, it has, like, a unique feeling to it. Like, basically, you know each people, you know how they interact with everything. If you take that community and compare it to any other community, or basically like some of the ones you've been into here and there, each one's got like a distinct feeling to it. How is that for the most part, just trying to fit in with each one, if you can?
It felt very difficult at times because, like, say for like the bigger communities where like the streamers are very hyperactive sometimes, talking about all these different kinds of subjects and things, and the chat's just scrolling by so fast. It feels a little bit overwhelming for me, so I tend to stick more closely to like the smaller communities where they're more like at-home streamers, or they're just doing dumb stuff with their friends. Those kind of down-to-earth kind of people, like those kind of people where you can build really good bonds with. That's how I view the VTuber community nowadays. Like, you still have your very big VTubers, like whether it be Hololive, VShojo, Nagitan, and stuff like that. I still enjoy those streams. No, don't get me wrong. It's just that more often than not, I'll be joining into the smaller streams to enjoy the homemade content that feels very scuffed at times, but it's super funny, so I love it.
Hey, there you go. There you go. And plus, it's always the personalities that just kind of track people here and there. So, more than, you know, larger than life kind of people who basically just feel like they got it all on their finger, just to be able to do stuff here and there, and just feel like they're having a grand time. So, I mentioned right off the back, I have old VRC memories now. Again, you haven't played much of VRC on hand, but if you could think of like a moment on hand from your time here and there that could stick out, what would that be? For the most part.
Oh, my most prominent memories of VRChat would be back in the Mafia and the Werewolf boom of VRChat. Like a few months in, I think it was, I don't know exactly the year, but it was like January, February, when I was in full boom of VRChat, just going on every single day, chatting with friends. We would always hop on to Werewolf and play all these stupid kind of games, because it was really so much fun just having trust, quote unquote, trust issues with each other, and just calling each other sus before even Among Us came out. It was so much fun to just do that. And also going to the horror map every once in a while. Those were really, really fun.
No, I got you. I mean, yeah, those are usually fun on hand. Like, I don't go to horror maps for the most part. It's mostly because, well, I do go to some, but it's mostly the fact that, again, atmosphere gets you before the pop-up scare. Like, once that sinks in, it's like everything in the world can be scary to you. And honestly, if you can master that on hand, then basically you could just make anything very easy for you here and there. But let me see here. I will say too, I was going to ask about the current present of VRChat in general. To put it this way, on hand, for the most part, it'd be like, compare your time when you first began to where we are right now or so. Is there some of the things you are glad that they changed up for the most part compared to some of the things that you wish they didn't change here and there?
Well, one thing I'm very appreciative of from back then was definitely the limits of the characters have been very much improved. You have more accessibility. You have all these crazy kind of models that can do all these special animations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm really appreciative of that. It makes it very much more fun to interact with people here. But I'll say that overall, I feel like nothing much has majorly changed
Okay.
other than that, in my opinion.
I got you on hand. Anything you looking forward towards? Like, well, let me put it this way. Anything you're looking forward towards, say, like, let's say VTuber-wise, or basically, like, in the case of VR or anything you're looking forward towards future-wise? Because I know it's growing completely, like, further and further in.
Mm-hmm. For VTubing, or specifically for VR?
It could be either or. Anything that kind of pops your mind of what takes you whole, for the most part.
Okay, this might sound a little bit weird, but hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
I want full dive headset. Like, the one from Sword Art Online where they put it on, they connect to the internet, and they send their mind into the game and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want something like that for the future, for VTubing and for VR. It sounds really, really crazy, but I would find that hella fun because we can do much more things, and also the fact that we would actually be able to use our full body more often, because most of the time it's just our upper half when it comes to VTubing. So just using our full body, something along the lines of keys in an eye, but for live streams and stuff.
No, I got you. That would actually be that'd be pretty cool. It'd be kind of like the code, almost kind of like a code. You ever heard of Code Miko, for the most part?
Yeah, just exactly like Code Miko.
Exactly like
more accessible to more people.
Yeah, it's just gonna be, for the most part, just seeing like the craziness of it. Like I could just imagine like it going to further beyond where it's just like it just feel you couldn't tell if it's like virtual reality or reality in general. Like it's gonna reach that point in certain hands. We don't know when, but it will, for the most part, sometime out there. Now you talked about anime on hand, and this leads me to a certain topic that I'm pretty sure you're gonna love to talk about. So let's talk about anime. So I have a 3-part question this, but I'll start with this. When I say anime, what's the first series that comes to your mind?
Oh no. The first anime series that just popped into my mind was Lucky Star. That was one of the first animes that I actually looked it up myself to watch on YouTube. And after that, that's when I seriously got into anime, watching more and more series like Ouran High School Host Club, Black Butler. Man, my mind is blanking right now with all the animes I previously watched. But even though like I said, I had previous memories and experiences with my family, Lucky Star was my true starting point for anime, in my opinion.
No, I got you, and that's the key thing. Like, with how much anime you watch, or so at least you got like a good selection of like stuff that could pop in your head the moment you think about the term anime. So that will probably be key. But now here's the hard question that's gonna be coming up. To this is like, if you ever had a top 3 or top 5, what are the anime series that would come to that list? Something for you.
Let's define top 5. Top 5 as in best, as in I would critically acclaim it, or top 5 comfy.
For you.
I would watch it any time of the day.
For you, not critically acclaimed, just basically for you in general. Like, what would be like in your mind the top 5 for yourself that you enjoy?
Top 5 series I enjoyed. Okay. I'm not gonna be able to put them in top per se, but I'm just gonna list out a few that I absolutely love.
No, go ahead.
So
It's all good.
the first one was Oran High School Host Club,
Mhm.
because this was actually the anime to get me into my cosplaying cosplaying group that I used to be a part of a few years ago. Now that I think about it, I haven't heard from them in a while, but still,
Yeah.
used to be a part of. But I'm
Oh.
really crazy neighbors that got me into cosplaying as a whole. So that was
Mhm.
a huge factor in my anime life. Another one would be the irregular at Magic High School, or Mohoka Koko no Retose. It's an anime that recently got a second season. Has a lot of light novels to it,
Mhm.
a few movies to it, but it's a light novel anime that I really enjoyed. Really wished I'd read the light novels, but it's just one of those standout shows to do that overpowered main character trope that I really enjoy, and it defines one of my main tastes.
Mhm.
Another one would be Achikochi, or Here, There, Everywhere. It's a very comfy, down to earth, comedy, romance, school life anime, and it's just a lot of skits and the characters just talking and interacting with each other. But it's absolutely adorable, and it's one of the first series I fell in love with, to the point where you know that feeling where you rewatch and re-binge the series several times over?
Like, it hits you on a core base, so it's like, that was so good, you want to see it again here and there. It's kind of like, like, say, like a movie, or example, just like something that you can enjoy here and there.
Mm-hmm. And then one more anime. Okay, this is going to be my degenerate anime pick.
That's fine.
My absolute degenerate one.
That's perfectly fine.
So, it's an anime called Dog Days.
Dog Days.
So, to explain the premise, it's an isekai, main character, a little bit broken, and what they do in it is that they play fight. They just do mini play fighting castle sieges against each other. And it's a lot of boobs and butts.
No, I got you.
And also the fact that it's Kimono Mini, which means animal girls and stuff. So, yeah, degen anime.
Nah, I got you. Hey, like I said, everybody's got their own tastes of here and there, no matter what it is or so. Like, especially with anime on here, which actually leads us to that final question for that anime, is basically, what is the anime that hits you close to home? Like, basically, like, when you watch and everything, you emotionally feel it on hand. You just emotionally feel it.
The anime that hit me the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, emotionally close to home.
Like, you could just relate to it, no matter what it is.
In fact, I'll do it one better. So, ever heard of the series called Log Horizon?
I've heard of it. I've heard people reference it so much on hand. Yes, I've heard I've heard of it.
Okay. It's another series that just got a season 3 just recently. So I'm gonna do a specific pinpoint in season 2. This scene has hit me so emotionally close to me because it was... It's a minor spoiler, do you mind?
I don't mind. Like, again, it's one of those things where spoilers don't bother me much because I would tend to forget about them. So yeah, if you want to, that's up to you.
Okay, so just for anyone out there, if you don't want spoilers for season 2 of Log Horizon, tune out for about a good minute or so.
Mm-hmm. It's all good.
So to quickly talk about it, so during this season 2, this was during the time where they got stuck in the game world and they were trying to raid and do stuff in order to progress the world and make it more suitable for everyone. And this is where the main characters were at their lowest points, where they literally... How do you describe it? You know, like MMO raids where you have to defeat one raid boss with like 16 people?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Now imagine doing that with the same party, but 3 raid bosses at the same time. That's what happened during that moment. And they were at the lowest point. And so, one of the characters gave a really, really motivating speech about how he was such an arrogant little brat. He was so obnoxious and he was like causing problems to all these people around him. But over time, as he grew to love the video game, he got to meet these so many different people, learn how to control his attitude, and also make all these emotional connections with everyone. And having these people accept who he was struck a really deep chord with me.
I got you.
So,
I got you. I mean, if there's one way to raise spirits up on hand, like, no matter how big the motivational speech or what the big trouble is on hand, the one thing that is very clear is if you want to overcome it, you gotta learn how to basically push yourself to overcome that feeling, no matter what it is on hand. And if you can do that on hand, then no matter the challenge, it will basically be overcome, no matter how far it is on hand. So, this will actually lead me to pretty much my final question for you on hand. Now, I'm just basically going to grab this really quickly, and I'm going to bring this up over here to you, so that way you don't have to move really quickly. But basically, what I'm going to say is this, if you can take center stage for this, but basically, what are your goals and dreams? And at best, what is the best advice you can ever give to anybody? I'm going to back up. I'm going to let you have center stage for this. So,
my goals and dreams. Honestly, I'm a person that didn't have many goals and dreams in my life. I spent a lot of my time wandering aimlessly, thinking about so many different things, thinking about all the possibilities I could do. But I realized that truly my goals and dreams right now is to just live my life as how I want it to be. Because so many times I've tried to live up to the expectations of others, and a lot of the times have let people down that way. So I'd rather take things right now, step by step, to see whatever kind of future that may lead me. It may sound like I'm just following the river or path that many people have tread before me, but I feel like right now, my goals are to make sure I am myself and proud of myself. I need to be happy with what I'm doing personally to make sure I don't fall to pieces further down the road if I'm just always rushing headlong into things. That's why I'm just happy to be where I am right now, and just happy about the things I do. And if there's one quote I could leave you guys with, is one really quote from one of my favorite games, Tales of Symphonia, and that is, "Courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality."
Alrighty.
And
oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
Okay. But to pretty much say what that quote means is to pursue your goals, to pursue your future, even if it means that other people are doubting you. If you yourself believe in yourself, to have that courage in you to do whatever you want, then you have a bright future ahead of you. And I'm done.
Okay, gotcha. I was gonna say, no, that's a good quote, just because of the fact that, here's the thing, and let me just get this situated back down. The thing that I need to share with you is the fact that if you're willing to basically go out there, no matter how much, if it's like certain decisions on hand or whatever actions you have to take just for it, like even if it's stuff you're not used to on hand, if you're willing to do it just to be able to see a goal, a dream, or basically reach a certain height of where you want to go, then if you're brave enough to do it, you're brave enough to go for it, no matter what it is on hand, here and there. No matter how it is, for the most part. So, I will ask everybody in chat, does anybody have any questions for Nagitan on hand? And while you guys are thinking about your questions for the most part, what you want to ask him on hand, I do have a question. What's your mains in League of Legends?
Oh, this is a rough question.
No, right off the back.
but to rapid fire on every single position. So currently in the top lane, my favorite would be like Cho'Gath or Shen. Right now I'm currently Shen. For the jungle, I absolutely love playing Udyr and Rammus. For the mid lane, I'm always gonna be picking something random. I have no idea what I pick in that lane. For the ADC/bottom role, I'm always gonna play some Samira, Ash, Misfortune, any of the very slow champ. And in support, I play every single support. But if you put me on Tarek and if you put me on Lulu or something like that, you'll never die. Trust me.
Well, there you go. There you go for that. Like, I understand, I play League of Legends a little bit on hand, but I'm mostly like a range character. I like range a little bit. I might have done support, but it's one of those things I gotta get used to the click of the mouse. You ever accidentally clicked on somebody and then accidentally go into enemy territory? Or get a little bit too far out?
Oh, yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
a pro-
Just walk yourself. Oh, why am I tanking turret? Why am I dying?
I did not want to go over there to the other enemy. No, I know the feeling. But yeah, if anybody's got any questions for Nagitan, feel free to ask right off the back. But I will, as I'm thinking...
Don't worry, I don't bite.
Nah, don't worry. He's a good guy. Good guy on hand. I will say I do have another question. If VRC... Hold on a second. Okay. Hold on a second. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The VRC... Okay, I'm right here. Just VRC. I don't know why VRC's been doing this lately. Like, it's been causing this weird...
Alive?
I'm right. I'm alive. I'm a whale. It's just VRC's being weird. I don't know why. I think it's also have something to do with the fact that basically when you're... I think it's also the fact when you're like in a world or so right now. Like if you're staying still or so, sometimes there's like weird lag spikes have been coming in here and there. So I don't know why. But yeah. To ask you another question on hand while I'm waiting for everybody else to ask any questions for the most part. I was gonna say, you mentioned Valorant on hand. Now, I was gonna say, are you starting out with Valorant, or are you just mostly a very experienced, like, veteran of it? Like, you know which character you can work with.
In that sense, I would be more on the experience side because I already know which characters I love. But for the most part, I'm actually, for any game I play, I'm pretty much the fill pick or the flex pick, where I'm the person that fills whatever duty that isn't being filled in the group. So if we need tanks, I'll be the tank. If we need a support, I'll be the support. But I really love playing any of the healer classes like Sage or Sky. I love healing people. Their utility is great, but if need be, I'll go aggressive. I'll do all these crazy kind of stuff. I'm a flex.
Okay. No, I got you. I got you on hand. I understand. I've never played Valorant. I think the only thing closest that I can say I played something not Valorant similar, but something close to that game style is CS:GO. That was a long time ago, here and there. Let me see here. It doesn't seem like I have any questions for you from chat, unfortunately. So...
No worries.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have it. So with that in mind, that will be episode 42 of Shoot the Breeze.